Disclaimer: this story is pure imaginations of mine. Please don't take it seriously. It was made for entertainment purposes only. If I start, Jungkook warned, his thumb brushing over Taehyung's lower lip, I won't stop. I've been holding back for too long. And right now, seeing you dressed like this, smelling like you, after you spent the evening with him, I'm not feeling particularly gentle. I don't want gentle, Taehyung said, surprising himself with his boldness. I want real. I want you. Something snapped in Jungkook's eyes. Last chance, Taehyung. Tell me to stop. Don't you dare stop. Jungkook growled, actually growled, and then his mouth was on Taehyung's, possessive and demanding. This wasn't like their wedding kiss or the sweet kisses they'd shared recently. This was hunger, months of repressed desire finally unleashed. Taehyung moaned into the kiss, his hands coming up to grip Jungkook's bare shoulders, feeling the muscles flex beneath his fingers. Jungkook's hands were everywhere, in his hair on his waist, pulling him closer, closer. Do you have any idea, Jungkook murmured against his lips, how hard it's been not to touch you? Not to drag you into my bed every night? Watching you walk around this penthouse, so beautiful, so perfect, and knowing I couldn't have you. You could have, Taehyung gasped as Jungkook's lips moved to his neck. You always could have. No. Not until I knew I could be what you needed. Not until I could give you everything. Jungkook pulled back slightly, his eyes burning into Taehyung's. But you've been very naughty, haven't you? Pushing my boundaries. Testing my patience. Making me jealous on purpose. Maybe, Taehyung admitted breathlessly. Bad boys get punished, Jungkook said, and despite the serious tone, there was heat in his eyes. You wanted to push me? Well, congratulations, baby. You finally pushed me over the edge. He lifted Taehyung easily, and Taehyung instinctively wrapped his legs around Jungkook's waist. The feeling of Jungkook's bare skin against him, the strength in his arms, made Taehyung dizzy with want. What are you doing? Taehyung asked, though he didn't really care. Taking my husband to bed, Jungkook said simply. Where he should have been from day one. And this time, I'm not letting you sleep in another room. Not tonight. Not ever again. He carried Taehyung up the stairs, and with each step, Taehyung felt his heart pound harder. This was it. This was what he'd been waiting for, hoping for, pushing for. Jungkook, he whispered as they reached the bedroom. Yes, baby. I'm sorry. For pushing you so hard. For making you jealous. I just needed to know if you felt anything for me. Jungkook laid him gently on the bed, hovering over him. His expression softened slightly, even as desire burned in his eyes. Feel anything? Taehyung, I feel everything. Every smile you give me, every touch, every word. It's all I think about. You've consumed me completely. He brushed a strand of hair from Taehyung's face. But you're going to learn something tonight. What? That I don't share. That you're mine and mine alone. And that next time you want my attention, all you have to do is ask instead of making me want to lock you up so no one else can look at you. That's very possessive, Taehyung pointed out, though his breath hitched. I warned you, Jungkook said, his hands starting to work on the buttons of Taehyung's shirt. I told you there would be consequences. And I'm a man of my word. He slowly unbuttoned each button, his knuckles brushing against Taehyung's heated skin with every movement. The deliberate pace was torturous. Jungkook, Taehyung whimpered. Patience, baby, Jungkook murmured, leaning down to press kisses along Taehyung's collarbone as he pushed the silk shirt off his shoulders. You made me wait for months. Made me suffer. Made me watch you with him, laughing, touching, being everything I wanted but was too scared to take. His lips traveled up Taeyoung's neck. Now it's your turn to feel what I felt. To want something so badly you think you'll lose your mind. I do want, Taeyoung gasped, his hands clutching at Jungkook's shoulders. Please. Tell me, Jungkook commanded softly, his breath hot against Taeyoung's ear. Tell me you're mine. That you've always been mine. I'm yours, Taeyoung breathed. Only yours. Always. And Park Bogum? Just a friend. I swear. I only wanted to make you jealous. To make you see me. Jungkook pulled back to look into his eyes, his own gaze intense and possessive. I've always seen you, Taeyoung. From the first moment in my parents' garden. You were so beautiful, so warm, smiling at me like I was worth something. I was terrified. Why? Because I knew, Jungkook said, his thumb tracing Taeyoung's lower lip. I knew you would ruin me for anyone else. That I would never want anything but you. That I would never want anything but you. And I didn't know how to handle that kind of power you had over me. I have power over you? Taeyoung asked, amazed. Absolute power, Jungkook confirmed. You could destroy me with a word. But baby, right now? Right now I have all the power. And I'm going to use it to remind you who you belong to. His mouth captured Taeyoung's again, deep and claiming, swallowing every gasp. His hands mapped every inch of skin he could reach, learning, memorizing, claiming. You're so beautiful, Jungkook whispered against his lips. Do you know how many nights I stood outside your door, fighting myself? Wanting to go in to hold you to make you mine? Why didn't you? Taeyoung managed between kisses. Because I wanted it to be right. I wanted to be able to give you everything. My time, my attention, my heart. Not just my name and my money. Jungkook's hands slid down to Taeyoung's waist. But you pushed and pushed, didn't you? My beautiful, bratty husband. I'm not a brat, Taeyoung protested weakly. No. Jungkook's laugh was dark and amused. You deliberately made me jealous. Spent weeks with another man, posting pictures. Coming home late, defying me at every turn. That sounds like bratty behavior to me. Maybe I like getting punished, Taeyoung said boldly, surprising himself. Jungkook's eyes darkened even further. Careful what you wish for, baby. I've been holding back for 3 months. I have a lot of frustration to work through. He kissed down Taeyoung's chest, taking his time, while his hands worked on removing the rest of their clothing. Every touch was deliberate, calculated to drive Taeyoung crazy. Jungkook, please, Taeyoung begged, his fingers threading through Jungkook's hair. Please what? Jungkook looked up at him through dark lashes. Use your words, baby. Tell me what you want. I want you. All of you. No more holding back. Are you sure? Jungkook asked, his expression softening slightly despite the desire burning in his eyes. Because once I have you, truly have you, I'm never letting you go. You'll be mine in every way that matters. Something shifted in Jungkook's expression, the last wall crumbling. Then let me show you how much I love you, he whispered against Taeyoung's lips. Let me worship you the way I've been dreaming about for months. Jungkook was true to his word. He took his time. So responsive, Jungkook murmured, his lips brushing against Taeyoung's ear. So perfect. Do you know how many times I imagined this? You in my bed, looking at me like I'm your entire world. He continued his sweet torture, building Taeyong up slowly, deliberately, until Taeyong was trembling and begging. Tell me again, Jungkook demanded softly, his forehead pressed against Taeyong's. Tell me you're mine. As they finally came together, Taeyong felt complete for the first time in months. This was what he'd been waiting for, not just the physical intimacy, but the emotional connection, the feeling of being cherished, wanted, loved. I love you, Jungkook whispered against his neck, his voice breaking with emotion. God, Taeyong, I love you so much. I love you too, Taeyong gasped, tears of happiness streaming down his face. I love you, I love you, I love you. They moved together, perfectly in sync, whispering words of love and devotion between kisses. Jungkook was possessive but tender, demanding but loving, everything Taeyong had ever wanted. Never again, Jungkook said fiercely, holding Taeyong close. Never again will you doubt how much you mean to me. I'll spend every day proving it to you. I believe you, Taeyong said, clinging to him. I believe you. When they finally reached their peak together, it felt like something between them had fundamentally shifted. Afterward, Jungkook held Taeyong close, pressing kisses to his forehead, his cheeks, his lips. Stay, he whispered. Stay here with me. In my bed, in my arms. Where you belong. Where else would I go? Taeyong smiled, exhausted and happy. This is exactly where I want to be. Good, Jungkook said, pulling the blanket over them. Because I'm not letting you out of my sight for at least the next 24 hours. Maybe longer. That possessive thing again? You created a monster, Jungkook said. Jungkook said, but he was smiling. Now you have to deal with the consequences. I think I can handle it, Taeyong yawned, snuggling closer. As long as you keep loving me like this. Always, Jungkook promised, kissing the top of his head. For the rest of our lives. Taeyong woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows and a warm, solid presence wrapped around him. It took him a moment to remember where he was. Jungkook's bedroom. Their bedroom now, apparently. He felt fingertips tracing patterns on his bare shoulder and realized Jungkook was awake. Good morning, Jungkook's deep voice rumbled, and Taeyong felt it through his whole body where they were pressed together. Morning, Taeyong whispered, suddenly shy. Regrets. What? No. Taeyong turned in his arms to face him. Do you? Jungkook's expression was softer than Taeyong had ever seen it. My only regret is that I waited so long. 3 months wasted when you could have been in my arms every night. We were both figuring things out, Taeyong said generously, reaching up to touch Jungkook's face. But no more separate bedrooms? Absolutely not. You're staying right here from now on. Jungkook captured his hand, kissing his palm. And we need to have a conversation about Park Bogum. Taeyong winced. I should tell you something. Jimin and I, we kind of planned the whole jealousy thing. To get a reaction from you. Jungkook raised an eyebrow. You staged it. Not exactly. Bogum really is my friend, and we really did catch up. But maybe I spent more time with him than I would have normally. And maybe I let Jimin convince me that making you jealous would help you confront your feelings. To Taeyong's surprise, Jungkook laughed. Actually laughed. A rich, warm sound that made Taeyong's heart flip. Well, Jungkook said, pulling him closer, it worked. Though I feel like I should be angry about the manipulation. Are you? No. I'm angry at myself for making you feel like that was necessary. You shouldn't have had to scheme and plot just to get your husband's. 2 months later. And then he surprised me with a weekend trip to Jeju Island. Taeyoung gushed into his phone, practically glowing as he whisked eggs in a bowl. Jimin, you should have seen it. He rented this entire private villa, and we watched the sunrise together. And he told me he loves me like 50 times a day now. I'm so happy for you, Tae. Jimin's voice came through the speaker. I told you the jealousy plan would work. You were right. He's so different now. So attentive and romantic and... Taeyoung paused, swaying slightly. The kitchen seemed to tilt. Tae? You okay? Yeah, just... dizzy for a second. Taeyoung steadied himself against the counter. I've been feeling a bit off lately. Probably just tired from all the activities. He blushed. Jimin cackled. TMI. But seriously, if you're not feeling well, you should see a doctor. I'm fine. I'm fine. Just need to eat breakfast. I'm making Jungkook's favorite. He has an important meeting this morning. They chatted for a few more minutes before hanging up. Taeyoung finished plating the breakfast, perfectly arranged just the way Jungkook liked it. He picked up the tray, smiling at the thought of surprising his husband. But as he turned toward the dining room, the world suddenly spun violently. The tray slipped from his hands, plates clattering, and his vision went dark around the edges. Taeyoung! Strong arms caught him before he hit the floor. Jungkook had appeared out of nowhere, his face pale with fear. Baby, what's wrong? Talk to me. I just... dizzy. Taeyoung managed, clinging to Jungkook's shirt. That's it. We're going to the hospital. Right now. But your meeting. Heck the meeting, Jungkook said fiercely, already pulling out his phone. Nothing is more important than you. Nothing. An hour later, they sat in a private hospital room, Taeyoung on the examination table while Jungkook held his hand in a death grip. The doctor had run several tests and now stood before them with a knowing smile. Mr. Kim Jong, she began warmly. I have some news that might come as a surprise. Taeyoung's heart raced. Is something wrong? Quite the opposite. The doctor's smile widened. Congratulations. You're pregnant. About 8 weeks along, from what the tests show. Silence. Complete, absolute silence. Taeyoung stared at the doctor, his mouth opening and closing like a fish. I'm, what? Pregnant, she repeated gently. The dizziness, the fatigue you mentioned, all classic early pregnancy symptoms. But we. Taeyoung looked at Jungkook, whose face had gone through about 17 different emotions in the span of 3 seconds. A baby. Jungkook's voice cracked. We're having a baby? Yes. A healthy baby, from all indications. I'll prescribe some prenatal vitamins and we'll schedule regular checkups. The doctor kept talking, but Taeyoung couldn't hear her over the rushing in his ears. A baby. Their baby. He looked down at his still flat stomach in wonder. Taeyoung, Jungkook breathed, and when Taeyoung looked up, his husband's eyes were shining with unshed tears. We're having a baby. And then Taeyoung was crying too, and laughing, and Jungkook was holding him so carefully, like he was made of glass. I love you, Jungkook whispered into his hair. I love you so much. And our baby. God, our baby. Are you happy? Taeyoung asked through his tears. Is this okay? Jungkook pulled back to cup his face, his own tears finally spilling over. Happy? Taeyoung, you've just given me everything. You're giving me a family. I'm more than happy. I'm complete. They held each other in that hospital room, crying happy tears, while the doctor discreetly gave them privacy, smiling at the love so evident between them. 2 months later. The gender reveal was a small, intimate gathering at the John family estate. Just both families, Jimin and Bogum. Mrs. John hadn't stopped crying since they'd announced the pregnancy. Mrs. Kim had immediately started knitting baby clothes. Both sets of parents had descended into happy chaos, debating nursery colors and buying far too many toys. Ready? Jimin asked, holding the envelope from the doctor. Taeyoung, now showing a small but definite baby bump, stood with Jungkook's arms wrapped protectively around him from behind. His husband's hands resting on his stomach. Ready, they said together. Jimin opened the envelope and pulled out a blue balloon. It's a boy. The garden erupted in cheers. Mrs. John immediately burst into fresh tears. Mr. John clapped Jungkook on the back so hard he nearly knocked him over. Taeyoung's parents embraced them both, already talking about their grandson. A son, Jungkook murmured in Taeyoung's ear, wonder in his voice. We're having a son. He's going to look just like you, Taeyoung said, turning in his arms. No. He's going to be beautiful like you. He's going to be spoiled rotten by all of us, Jimin interjected, hugging them both. I call godfather rights. Absolutely not, Bogum protested. I've known Tae longer. Boys, Taeyoung laughed. There's enough godfather duties to go around. Later, when it was quiet and the guests had left, Jungkook knelt in front of Taeyoung and pressed a gentle kiss to his baby bump. Hello, little one, he whispered. I'm your appa. And I can't wait to meet you. I'm going to love you and protect you and give you everything. Just like I do with your dada. Taeyoung ran his fingers through Jungkook's hair, his heart so full it hurt. He's so lucky to have you as a father. We're the lucky ones, Jungkook said, looking up at him with those soft eyes that still made Taeyoung weak. You've given me everything I never knew I needed. 9 months of pregnancy had been an adventure. Jungkook had been impossibly protective, hovering constantly, attending every doctor's appointment, reading every parenting book he could find. He'd turned one of the penthouse's spare rooms into a nursery that looked like it belonged in a magazine. And now, at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, Taeyoung's water had broken. Okay, don't panic, Jungkook said, clearly panicking as he grabbed the hospital bag. Breathe, baby. Just breathe. I am breathing, Taeyoung groaned through a contraction. You need to breathe. The drive to the hospital was a blur. Jungkook held his hand the entire time during labor, whispering encouragement, looking slightly green when things got intense, but never leaving his side. You're doing so well, baby. So strong. I love you. You can do this. After hours of labor, their son entered the world with a loud, healthy cry. He's perfect, the doctor said, placing the tiny baby on Taeyoung's chest. Congratulations, both of you. Taeyoung stared down at the tiny face, the little fingers, the rosebud mouth, and felt his world shift entirely. This was their son. Their miracle. Jungkook, he whispered, tears streaming down his face. Look at him. Jungkook was crying openly, his hand gently touching their son's tiny head. He's beautiful. Just like you. Perfect like you. What should we name him? Taeyoung asked softly. They debated names for months, never quite deciding. But looking at their son now, Jungkook smiled. Taejun, he said. Tae from you, June from my name. Taejun. Our perfect blend. Taejun, Taeyong repeated, smiling through his tears. It's perfect. Both families arrived shortly after, and the room filled with happy tears and laughter. Mrs. John couldn't stop taking photos. Mrs. Kim kept calling him, our little angel. The grandfathers argued about who got to hold him first. But eventually, they all left to let the new family rest. Jungkook sat in the hospital bed with Taeyong, their son nestled between them, both of them too in awe to sleep. Thank you, Jungkook whispered. For him. For us. For everything. Thank you for finally letting me in, Taeyong replied, resting his head on Jungkook's shoulder. For loving me back. Always, Jungkook promised, pressing a kiss to his temple. For the rest of our lives. 4 years later. Dada. Dada. 4-year-old Taejun came running into the living room, his little face scrunched up in an adorably serious expression that was pure Jungkook. Uncle Bogum is here. Taeyong looked up from the painting he was working on. He'd returned to his art after Taejun was born, and Jungkook had converted another room into a proper studio for him. That's wonderful, baby. Did you let him in? No, Taejun said firmly, crossing his little arms. I'm watching him. Watching him. Taeyong tried not to laugh. Appa says we have to protect you, Taejun explained seriously. So I'm protecting you from Uncle Bogum. From the entryway, Jungkook's laugh rang out. That's my boy. John Jungkook. Taeyong called out. Stop encouraging him. Jimin and Bogum appeared in the doorway, Jimin barely containing his laughter while Bogum looked amused and slightly bewildered. Your son, Bogum said, pointing at the tiny human who had positioned himself between Bogum and Taeyong, literally told me I need his permission to talk to you. He's 4. Taeyong protested, even as his heart melted at his protective little boy. He's a John, Jungkook said proudly, walking in and scooping Taejun up into his arms. Right, buddy? We protect Dada, don't we? Yes. Taejun nodded enthusiastically. Dada is ours. Not Uncle Bogum's. I'm just your Dada's friend, little one. Bogum said gently, crouching down to Taejun's level even though the boy was in Jungkook's arms. Dada has Appa, Taejun insisted. And me. He doesn't need more friends. Everyone burst out laughing. Oh my god, Jimin wheezed. He's literally Jungkook 2.0. The possessiveness. The jealousy. I wonder where he gets it from, Taeyong said dryly, looking at his husband who was grinning proudly. I have no idea what you're talking about, Jungkook said innocently, then whispered loudly to Taejun. Good job, buddy. Keep an eye on Uncle Bogum. Make sure he doesn't get too close to Dada. Jungkook. Taeyong scolded, but he was laughing too. What? Jungkook said, walking over to slip an arm around Taeyong's waist. Taejun still in his other arm. I'm just teaching our son important life skills. Like recognizing threats. Bogum is not a threat. That's what you think, Jungkook murmured, pressing a kiss to his temple. But Taejun and I know better. Right, son. Right, Appa. Taejun agreed, then reached out to pat Taeyong's cheek. Don't worry, Dada. Me and Appa will protect you. Taeyong's heart melted completely. He pulled both his boys close, kissing Taejun's chubby cheek and then Jungkook's lips. My two protectors. What would I do without you? You'd probably have friends, Jimin quipped, making himself comfortable on the couch. Hey! Bogum protested. I'm still here. Uncle Bogum, Taejun said seriously, you can stay. But no hugging Dada. Only Appa and me can hug Dada. Noted, Bogum said, fighting back laughter. What about high fives? Are those allowed? Taejun considered this seriously. His little face scrunched up in concentration. Again, pure jungkook. High fives are okay. But no long hugs. Deal. They settled in for the afternoon, Taejun eventually warming up to Bogum enough to show him his toy collection. You know, Bogum said later, watching as Taejun climbed into Taehyung's lap and shot him a warning look. I guess I don't have to worry about Taehyung anymore. He's got the most possessive bodyguard in Seoul. 2, Jungkook corrected, pulling Taehyung and Taejun both against his side. He has 2 possessive bodyguards. And we take our job very seriously. I'm doomed, Taehyung sighed dramatically, but he was smiling, surrounded by the loves of his life. Completely doomed to be loved and protected forever. Jimin pulled out his phone to take a picture of the 3 of them. Jungkook looking at Taehyung with pure adoration, Taehyung glowing with happiness, and little Taejun nestled between them, already learning from his appa how to love fiercely and protect those precious to him. This, Jimin said softly, showing Bogum the photo, this is what we fought for. Look how happy he is. Yeah, Bogum agreed, smiling. The jealousy plan definitely worked. Maybe too well. They both laughed. Watching as Taejun very seriously explained to his dada all the ways he was going to protect him when he grew up, while Jungkook listened with complete attention, occasionally adding suggestions that made Taehyung roll his eyes and laugh. The cold CEO from 4 years ago was gone, replaced by a warm, devoted husband and father who'd learned that showing love wasn't a weakness. It was the greatest strength of all. And if his son inherited his possessive streak? Well, Taehyung secretly didn't mind one bit. The end. Hope you enjoyed this story. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Please come back for more Taekook love stories. Love you all.